thank you for all turning up on a very wet tonight. Right, it's good to see so many people here tonight. Normally we're just looking at the odd extension or the odd house or two, so we don't normally get so many people. So it's good to see the high attendance. As quite a few of you probably haven't been to a planning meeting before or been to a parish council meeting, I've just got a page of how the planning meeting works and some history about this particular application and the plans and the process. So HTC, Huntingdonshire District Council, is required to seek comments from the parish council for planning applications within the parish boundary. Neighbouring properties are similarly required to be notified by HTC. It is also worth emphasising that the final decision will be made by relevant departments within HTC, taking due regard for comments received from us and from parishioners. The Planning Committee, sitting in front of you, are all elected parish councillors, and the committee meets whenever an application is received. The formation of a separate committee allows councillors and parishioners more time to consider applications than would be the case if we met at our normal monthly meetings. Also, applications normally have a 3-week submission date or response date, which doesn't always suit our monthly meetings. There's an open, or there will be an open session at the beginning of this meeting for parishioners to speak on this proposed development, and only this proposed development, I have to add. This is not intended to be a general discussion amongst parishioners. It's intended to, it's a chance for parishioners, anybody interested, to address the committee with your comments for due consideration. Please be aware this is a public meeting, and so audio and visual recording is permitted. Scroll down a bit further. The open session is then followed by the closed session for committee discussion. After discussion amongst ourselves, the council will make a resolution to recommend the application for approval or for rejection, and the reasons for that decision. The recommendation will then be returned to HTC for their final decision. During the closed session, parishioners are not permitted to speak. However, I hope that the discussion that you will witness will be of interest and may assist yourselves or anybody who may want to form their own response to HTC. The closing date for responses on this application is the 24th of February. Parishioners are encouraged to send in responses with reference to accepted planning matters, noting that all comments will be put on their website once they've checked it for safe to go on the website, and responses can be for or against. Details on how to respond are on the HTC website, and use of this ref number from the agenda. If you use the ref number that's on the agenda, that will help you access this particular application. Right, history. To fulfill its obligation to provide housing, the local planning authority is required to produce a local plan. This sets out the criteria for development within the planning authority's area, and reference is made to Huntingdonshire's local plan to 2036, so some 16 years' time. This has been some years in the making, and the parish council asked to comment on that draft version in August 2017. This we did, generally supportive, and that response is on the PC website. However, in October 2017, HTC issued a call for sites, sometimes called HELA, Housing and Economic Land Availability Assessment, when it was noted that the plan did not provide for sufficient housing. 5 sites around Hilton were offered by local landowners, and a PC-led open meeting was held in late October. Following that meeting, Hilton Parish Council wrote to HTC rejecting the inclusion of these sites. A further draft of a local plan was issued, and in January 2018, Hilton Parish Council sent a letter of objection to HTC. Again, that letter is on the PC website under notices section. The plan was then submitted for review by an inspector, and the plan was approved and issued by HTC in 2019. So in summary, comments need to be made with reference to that document In that document, criteria and guidelines are stated where development would be permitted. However, the document is intended to cover a multitude of locations, and therefore the statements are not always clear and can be open to interpretation. I think it's fair to say that sustainability is the key to the plan. Each town and village within the authority's control has been categorised. Spatial developments, key service centres and small settlements, generally based on their ability to accommodate sustainable development. The ability to work and live day to day without the need to travel great distances. The majority of development within the area will be in spatial developments, for instance, St Ives. The next level of development will be provided by key service centres, no closest one to us is Van Stanton, with the 80 or so smaller settlements. This is Hilton classification, expected to provide minimal development. None of the 5 submitted sites has been included in the plan. And finally, I should say that the developer did approach Hilton Parish Council in October 2019, offering to meet and discuss the proposed application. Confidential information was provided for councillors' eyes only. After discussion at the November meeting, councillors resolved not to meet the developer. The resolution, the council would not meet the developer as the plans are not in accordance with the local development plan. Here it is, the introduction. So, with that in mind, I'll go on to the agenda. Item number 1 is to receive any apology of absence and any declaration of interest. No apologies, okay. And any declaration of interest? Anybody on the table got interest? Okay. Now, this is the point where I throw it open to the members of the public. This will be an open session, so anybody is welcome to address the committee. Either for or against, or because we have seen comments on the website already.
Hi.
Good evening.
Yeah, I've just got a list of concerns, so I just thought I've written them down, and I just thought it would be easy for me to say the issues that I'm actually concerned with. And I have looked at the AGLAA and of the 5 sites, and also your response, and obviously you were against what was put in and submitted by the AGLAA, which I think is really good. So my concerns would be the actual width of the road, of the development, where the access to and from the development is. So it's too near a dangerous junction. If a car pulled out from that junction, can it get to the other, can it actually pull out without going over the other side, facing oncoming traffic? It's actually dead opposite on the house. I don't know if there has to be a specific width of a road that there has to be to access and get out of a junction. Each house would probably have 2 to 3 cars each, so there would be a parking issue, access to and from issue. The actual development itself, there's no employment in the area. I don't even know if Hilton has a bus now. Does it have transport? No. So for the government to try and get people to use public transport in these areas and work in the areas, there's none of that. Flooding is another issue. At the bottom of Church End, the ditches fill, and it does flood at the bottom of Church End. I note at the moment that the ditches are really, really high. If that was built on, where would the excess water go from that area? Would they, if they felt the road wasn't wide enough, would they widen the road? Which I feel as though if they widened the road, this would then alter the feel of a village or a lane. I think that was about it for now. I only found out about this meeting very, very late last night, so I've just had a quick look and jotted some stuff down. Thank you.
The Linda has touched on the traffic issue. The traffic is going to be a very serious issue. You have the triangle of grass where the exit from Church End divides to go to Packworth or come into the village. Now, if anybody is going right to go towards the village, you take your life in your hand. If a car is speeding, somebody will die. Believe me, somebody will die. We have a lot of data about the speed that the cars are going. The speed watch has got some, Andy's got some. That is a very crucial piece of what you must consider. That's the crucial part. Linda says that it's the exit into the development is too close. Yes, it is. Added to that, the Church End has been closed for well over a week due to a leaking drain, which was only put in, I believe, in 1940. Is that going to cope with it? And added to that, we really do have too many 4-bedroom executive houses in the village. We've got, especially when the other developments come, we've got to make sure that we have a mixture of houses, preferably. I could do without any 4-bedroom detached houses personally. I mean, probably everybody here lives in a detached house. Is there anybody who doesn't? Yeah. Come on, you live in a beautiful house on village green. Come on. So it's the traffic issues that are very important. And nowadays, with all of this discussion about climate change, are we going to get solar panels? Are we going to get triple glazing? Because that's got to come when houses are being built nowadays. But please, emphasise very strongly about this traffic issue. It's a very serious one. Every time I go to that, to go towards the pub, turn right, I don't know if it's my turn, because cars come down there. You check that that's all right, that's fine. You think, okay, I'll go now. You can't be sure, something will come. And you get van drivers gesturing because you've come out from that little road. Now we're going to get 36 cars coming out. Not all at once, but it increases the volume. Take that on board very, very strongly, as I will when I write to district. Thank you.
Just want to add to Margaret's comment there. We have been collecting data, as you know, right at that, actually at that junction on the speed indicator device. Every week for the last 4 weeks it's been there. The traffic has been averaging between 45 and 55% of all vehicles going past there are speeding. Of all vehicles, that's 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. So it is an enormous speeding problem past that junction. And therefore I just agree that this is going to make that could make that even worse with more vehicles trying to come out of that junction. Thank you.
Yeah, I live at number 18, so I'm on Church End, so I'm directly opposite where the site is, and obviously use that junction to and from work every day. Can only reiterate, I don't have the stats that the other people are saying for the speeding traffic, but I just know from constant use of that junction that cars come round from the pub down that direction really, really, really quickly. Even the introduction of the speed detector has made little difference in my experience. So it's a really, really dangerous junction. I'm surprised there hasn't been a serious accident there to date. So more cars coming out of there is not good news. It's right, the entrance to the development is right opposite. I think it's 26. There's a drive of a residence directly opposite. Now, backing out of our houses onto the road when there's not so much traffic is still reasonably hairy, but I imagine backing out of your drive when there's a 18-house development, everybody exiting the same point is going to be extremely difficult. So that is really, really dangerous. The road isn't really wide enough for that amount of traffic. The edge of the road is already collapsing into the ditch. When they built the house on the very end, there was obviously quite a lot of construction traffic, basically wore the road away. We had some building done on our house, so there was a few vans and things parked on the side of the road, and the side of the road's completely collapsed. So the road is just not suitable for the current level of traffic and vehicles, let alone having another 36 cars up and down there as well. And just a more general point, I mean, we're affected because we're directly opposite, so we'll be very sad to lose the view from our house. I know other people probably don't care about that because you don't live there, and that's understandable, but it is kind of the slippery slope for more development in the village, I feel. Once we've agreed to have a number of houses there, it feels it will be less of a resistance each time for there to be more houses and more houses. So I think we need to make a point of objecting on that grounds as well at this stage.
Okay.
Can I just add one more point to my point? Last week, the fastest car went past there at 76 miles an hour.
No way.
So I've got all the data from every car that's gone past. 76 was the fastest.
Do we know that was a car, Andy, or could it be?
Oh, I don't. No, I can find out and dig back and find. Oh, I can't. That one. Sorry, I haven't got the size of the vehicles. It's the other detector I could do this.
I wondered if it was more likely to be a motorcycle, because I know across Cambridgeshire, the vehicles that go through the very high speeds tend to be motorcycles for us.
Well, whatever it is, it's going to hit something at 76 miles an hour. So, yeah. Okay. Sorry, Margaret.
Could I just add one thing, Chapter? Yes, the speed going out from Church End is worrying, but it's also quite worrying when you're approaching to go out of Church End and you're going to go right, as I say. Something might be coming down very fast, turning into Church End, and there isn't a specified who's got right of way from Papworth, or even if I'm coming out to go right, something might come around quite fast, and I've got to go, whoa! You know, it's a very serious place. I don't think that people who live at the other end really realise what it's like. Thank you.
It's number 20 actually, and I'd love to say that I'm aware that's about 18 properties going in there, and there's about 2 spaces for each property. We are forgetting the amount of visitors which we come and going, the deliveries which are taking place, and from what I see on the plans, the dustbin collections and the entrance, there is going to be a queue constantly somewhere along the line within that road. It's bad enough trying to reverse out to turn left or to turn right from our drives, let alone sitting with maybe a number of cars sitting there. And the farming vehicles are constantly going up and down as well. And that lane is a tiny little lane, it's not a big lane. And it floods quite a bit down the bottom path, always has done. That's one of the things I've got on my list at the moment. At the same time, 18 properties, that's quite a lot of properties on a small piece of land.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who's picked on that one, but that's a lot. Now, my concern is if this even gets approval at some stage, developers all have habits of increasing the quantity. City Council will come back and say, add more affordable housing to it. They'll come back from 18 to 20, 22. Who is going to watch that? At the same time, where is this study? This application has moved so fast, so quick. There seems to be a lot of work's been done in the last, not sure how long, by the developers, by the own people, and it's really very fast forward. It is almost at the approval level, to me, from what I've seen. I've only seen it for the last 4 days. And the last thing here, where is the county council's input in this? Because county council's in charge of that road. What is their input? Because that is a lane. It is not a big road to house all this traffic and everything else. So I would love to see where is the county council's input to all this is. What is their view? I mean, they should throw this out.
Is Hilton actually under any obligation to agree to any, I mean, are you under pressure to agree to so many houses being built per 5 years or 10 years?
We will discuss that. That's all to do with the local plan. It is mentioned in there.
In the local, when the local plan was put out and it was consulted on, it said originally that there would be nothing in small settlements above perhaps 2 or 3 or infill houses. It was then changed, wasn't it?
It was changed in that they still say that, but they don't have 2 or 3 living,
Yeah.
which was the thing we objected to the last time. So
But in the local plan, there is still talk about Hilton and a number of villages being small settlements, and a development could be considered, but on a sustainability level.
Which we have now. So really, we should have no big developments whatsoever.
When the call for sites came out, when this was submitted to, the call of sites had a set of specifications, what would be relevant to each site or the small settlement, and that was that it had 4 or 5?
5.
4 out of 5,
Yeah.
which were GP surgery, village hall,
Oh, sorry, 4.
4 of the 5,
4
yeah.
meters.
Pub. And of course, Hilton didn't meet that because there was no pharmacy, schools, yeah, because we didn't have school, we didn't have GP surgery. So that was something that the parish council sent a submission back objecting to that sort of thing.
So from that then, and you've objected, so how come we've received an application for voting houses to be built? How's it even got someone planned it?
At the moment, it's worth bearing in mind it's an outline application, which we're discussing tonight, and we will put in our responses accordingly.
So landowners put the application through.
I have to say, I mean,
They're entitled to do what they want, really, in terms of what they submit for the land. It's then up to Huntingdon District Council to agree whether that proposal is acceptable. As a parish council, we can't agree it or decline it. We can submit comments either supporting or objecting or no observations on the planning applications that come to us. But we're not the decision makers. And we would urge all parishioners who have a voice on this to put comments onto the Huntingdon District Council website. There are some very good comments on there at the moment. There's some excellent comments on there at the moment. Thank you to number 4, keeping us close to their work. And that's what we, as a council, will be recommending. We will make.
I have to say, I did hear years and years ago that land would be developed, and that's why it's been sectioned off.
Any other
So
questions?
is it a bit done then?
No, it's not.
It's going for application.
Thank you, Graham. A lot of what's been said I fully support, but I think it's really important. Although HDC have tried to, I suppose, update, is a better word to say, the Housing and Economic Land Availability Assessment they published in 2017, as far as I can work out, the local plan still overrides that. I've spoken to a plan officer in another area, and he said the local plan is the local plan. So that brings out a number of points. And the spatial planning area, which you spoke about earlier, Graham, I think that's really important because those amenities we have only got 3. And it clearly states you have to have 4. We don't have them. So that was my first point. As far as reduced small settlements with reasonable sustainability, we don't have any transport links.
No.
I mean, and it's got worse since 2017. So that actually, what's going to happen there is that's going to mean more people will have to drive privately, and that's then against both the district and county councils in their plans to reduce private car usage, which is in the Cambs agreed to the local transport plan for 2019. So they're already sort of in conflict as far as I'm concerned. As part of the local plan, and this is the countryside LP6, this talks about our agriculture, and I'm happy to share this document. I couldn't put it all on because you were only limited to so many words, but they've actually rung me and asked me if I could give them the whole document. Because I'm just fed up with big brother walking all over us all the time. I think the other bit, because a lot of people have talked about it, but Packworth Hospital was named in that as a large employer. Well, we know that's not there anymore. So there is no local employment, and there's no local employment in Fenstanton and very little in St Ives. So that's all blown out the window as far as I'm concerned. I think as far as the other bits, everyone's spoken about it. So the flood assessment, the actual, and I can't pronounce it, basically the basin they're going to build, Atcheringe, I've never even heard of the word, but a basin to take over spill of water. But I've lived in this village a long time, and so have a lot of other people here. When we had the big flood in 2000, 2001, that whole area was a lake. And those ditches won't cope with it. I mean, somebody already said, if you look at the rainfall now, the ditches is just about coping. I really worry about that hard sandy where that water's going to go. Because it's only going to go one way, and that's straight through the village.
And that's the lowest point.
So that worries me. And the bit about the, I suppose the other bit is about the road. I don't think anyone said it, they may have done. If you look where the junction is, and you look at the length of a normal articulated lorry, I know it's not meant to go down there. If a lorry tries to turn left out of the village and then turn right, his backside's going to be sticking out in the road. We're just asking for someone to get killed. It's madness. There's a lot more in it, but I'm happy to I'll send it to you because I don't want to read it all out.
I'll put it on the website if you want it public.
We can do.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yes, I was just looking and trying to imagine the sketch that we've been given as to where the properties are being built. And I may be wrong, but does it stretch along the Cotton Road and going outside of our
Some of them do it on the Cotton Road, yes.
Because when you come in from the Papworth end and go into the village, you've got Hilton sign. But,
Oh, it won't go as far.
but will the properties stretch beyond the boundary? I assume that's where the boundary is, where the Hilton sign is.
It's by the trees.
There's a row of there's a hedgerow in that field that we're talking about, and the property do not go beyond that hedgerow.
At the moment.
Is that towards Papworth?
Yeah.
Going towards Papworth,
So in front of that hedgerow
yeah.
is the...
But I didn't know where that, I can't see where
I'm
that
pretty sure that
relation
the
to
parish
the-
boundary goes as far as New Farm, but when we get when New Farm had applications.
No.
Yes.
Just a clarification on this agenda. It says all matters reserved except for access. What precisely does that mean?
Presumably, the style of the houses is not defined, but the access is there. So that you've got the road. So that the position of the road into the site is what they're applying for.
So that's where the access is going to be.
No, that's how I read it. Julie?
Stops just with the traffic. There's the traffic coming.
Yes. So it's a good Julie?
Small point, but all those 18 houses will undoubtedly have children. Children need to go to school, so there's going to be possibly mums with young children walking down to the bus stop down the green with all this traffic coming out, or mothers taking the children to the bus stop at the green, or the teenagers or secondary school students going to the bus stop by the shop. And so you've got all these pedestrians on top of this huge influx of traffic on a blind corner.
Excuse me, there is another issue with schools at the moment, because basically Estates and Milford School are not able to take any more children. They're fully loaded.
Was that for sure?
And you know, the only place you may get is Papworth. But if you haven't got a car, how do you get to Papworth?
Correct.
And then what Julie has also raised up is important, but as it stands at the moment, these children have got nowhere to go. Not because there's nowhere to take them, they're full up.
I've just mentioned that I don't think it's anything really to do with your response, but McAlpines do have contractual development interests in a great deal more of the land in and around the village. So this is could possibly be the thin end of the wedge in the case of it.
Sorry, Graham, just one last thing. I was just looking on the plan here. So if what the lady said there about children trying to cross roads, it doesn't appear there's any pavement that side of the road. So that I presume they're not going to build one, so it means that everyone's been going out that one and trying to cross that road.
Right, I'm going to draw the open session to a close because we've had 20 minutes of general, I think all the issues have been raised. But I'm going to go to the closed session where the committee members earn their pay. So you've heard the comments, and hopefully you've sort of had a chance to read it. At the moment, there are 3 comments on the website, 4, and 1 against. 3 against. 3 against and 1 for. So you've seen that, have you? Additionally, we had an email that came around, which I don't think you've seen that yet.
No.
Right, that was a comment from a parishioner regarding increased traffic down the Pop Road. So again, one of the issues we've had today. So that's worth I think really it's worth bearing in mind the where we're up to at the moment is that we have strongly supported Hilton's inclusion to small Burnham. We objected to the healer sites successfully. None of them is now in the plan. And at the last parish council meeting in November, in November 2019, council resolved not to meet the developer because the plans as presented were too far away from the local plan as presented. So, based on those figures, those facts, I wonder if you've got any further comments that address this application in terms of the...
I think the first thing is we need to just stick to what the agency has asked us to...
Sorry, can you speak up?
Yeah,
Sorry,
we can't hear you.
we can't hear. You have to speak up loudly in the hall, unfortunately.
So HTC has asked us to limit our responses to actual planning issues. So we can talk about a lot of other things.
Yeah,
As it
but I think it's also the comments we've heard tonight kind of come into play if the building is permitted. I think we go back a stage and say, is this site and are these number of houses appropriate?
I think nothing needs to be clear for the people here. Some of the comments that are made while valid aren't relevant to our planning meeting. So while we don't necessarily disagree with what you're saying, when it comes to our authority here, some of them are not reasons for objection. They are reasons to comment yourselves, but they're not reasons for us to object. I think we have to stick to what we do.
But a lot of them are.
There are a lot more as well, yes, sorry, yeah.
But it's worth putting your comments onto the HTC website, just to make sure you're along.
So, I mean, there are various comments or various statements within the local plan that I think really do rule this site out. The fact that it's been submitted once already with the 5 sites. All 5 sites were submitted. All 5 were rejected. And so really this is a speculative inquiry.
Can we deal with what is actually the built area of the village? Because we used to have a nice divided line on that which showed where the outside limit of the village was. They've changed that now into the form of words, and the definition is a built-up area considered to be distinct group of buildings that includes 30 or more homes, land which relates more to the group of buildings rather than to the surrounding countryside, is also considered to be form part of the built-up area. So I would say, as a definition, that rules out field out straight away. Because it's so clearly agricultural.
Because there are other houses next to it, further down Church End, so why does that disappear?
Because it's at the end. If it goes out here and here, it would be, because it's at the end,
At some point, you've got to do that.
Sure.
Previous planning guidelines, and it's got to this point. And then it said, right, that's now the village boundary, and the local plan is saying that's where we are and fixed from this point on.
And I think one of the points in there is whether it connects more with the adjacent houses or whether it connects more with this agricultural field next door. And I think it's in better harmony with the field rather than the adjacent property.
That's kind of an opinion, isn't it?
It is. It is. I mean, I think looking at the field, I think you would say that site is more in connection with. I mean, for instance, we did lose a planning application down on Cotton Road, Kingswillow Cottage. We said it was outside the built-up area, but because it was deemed to be more in connection with the adjacent buildings, it was approved. I mean, that was far tighter. I mean, you have got fields. We've been mentioned tonight about the fact that you've got views over the agricultural land. I think it's very clearly a field rather than anything that would lend itself.
Is it still being farmed?
Yes. It's still being farmed.
Can I just go back to the remit? It's not about approving or not approving the housing. It's about the access. It's about, is it feasible to have any number of houses on that kind of thing?
Well, I mean,
it's an outline application for
yes.
this, and they're proposing 18 as a sort of.
Yeah, but for me, reading that, it's more about how the roadways and access in and out work for that plot.
Just the conceptually, the whole thing is basically anyway again.
But I mean, there's a lot of work gone into those 18 houses. It's not just
sure, but that's
an access into the site, and the houses are. No, but we don't need to comment on the actual houses. We haven't got a detailed comment on the houses, but we've certainly got a detailed comment on the number.
I mean, I think based on what we do, we could do a comment about what our views are on the housing stock. I think putting it in keeping with what we want. Does it fit within the natural state of the village? Is it suitable for our future needs? I think we can comment on that based on what I put in there. Because I put a mix of things, and there's been some comments in the issues about the using that there, which.
But winding back a stage, that only comes into play if you feel the site is an appropriate site. And bearing in mind that it was turned down by council on 2 occasions, I think really, I mean, I don't want to say too much, but I think the site is not appropriate, and really you need to look at the reasons why, based on the local plan. I mean, I say, if this site was being presented somewhere else within the village, and a smaller number, we'd have a different conversation.
Indeed.
So think about key reasons for.
So if we can link to flat.
Yeah, exactly. And you can put the effects in the air, character, infrastructure, density, resources such as farmland, safety issues, all that we can fully complete it up.
Yeah, and then you've got the system. I mean, the buzzword or the key word is sustainability. Even there's a report within the application which tells about the buses. Very limited service of buses. It seems a permanent axe over it. We've had many conversations about how long the bus route is going to go on for. It talks about cycle paths. Obviously they're not running it. It talks about the feasibility of approaching Packworth, maybe on bicycles. There haven't been any accidents on the B1040. Well, don't suppose many people cycle over there. In terms of pedestrians. So it does mention that Packworth is a good destination in terms of school and GP surgeries, but it's not. And the fact that there are so many car parking spaces as part of the application, I think it implies that the acceptance is that you will need to have a car. And also within the application it does state how many journeys will be done by car. So I don't think it doesn't fit the local plan, which can be supported in various ways. I don't think it fits the plan.
So I've been through the plan in detail, and there are sections of it where it seems to quite clearly step outside of that. The first one, helping line, small settlements. If it first qualifies as a definition of part of the built area, which I think we've already discussed, unlikely that it does, but should be, the small settlement part of the local plan says a proposal that is located within the built area of a small settlement will be supported where the amount of location of development proposed is sustainable in relation to the level of service and infrastructure provision in the settlement. So no, we don't quantify there. opportunities for users of proposed development to access everyday services and facilities by sustainable modes of travel, walking, cycling and public transport. So I don't think it qualifies there. So actually the local plan is sort of spelling out what's there.
And do you make comment on, like the transport plan that's included in the application, which talks about the fact that Hilton does have public transport and is linked to easy access into Cambridge via the guided bus, and if you want to go to pharmacy, it's a 12-minute cycle ride to Camberwell, as is the GP surgery. Should we be making comment about that transport plan is questionable?
Yeah.
Well,
What's
also
in their proposal?
In the proposal.
yeah.
It's not, well,
Well, it's saying here that you must stick to responding in the local plan.
And that's the thing.
So it's quite, well, I think we've got enough within the local plan,
yeah.
depending on which way it goes.
But I think the transport plan comments are worth flagging because we don't have those services.
That's specifically highlighted that we have in that report.
Yeah.
But even those, they do say how poor the buses. They don't say it's poor, but they actually list the timetable of the buses.
Yeah.
And you've got one in the morning and one in the evening. Bus of Ashton as well doesn't operate. I mean, it's a very poor service, and we know that there's been an axe over those services for many years.
Yeah, this one keeps getting delayed in the actual finishing as a group.
So it's unlikely that your work or your employment would line up quite nicely with those buses.
Yeah, so we don't have the services. And is it, given the traffic issue that we have already, in a sense, that number of vehicles is small compared to what thunders through the village at the minute anyway. But obviously that junction.
I think the junction access is more relevant than the road and traffic.
Exactly.
But I don't know whether that's a planning application matter, because normally the planning authority would pass it out to CCC stroke and the environment who, and they're the ones that normally comment.
Highway safety issues is a lot of them from
Okay. Fine. So previously I have seen comments from the Environment Agency and CCC about the levy's okay. But no, that would certainly address many of the concerns that have been mentioned tonight.
They proposed putting some kind of pedestrian crossing, but unmarked, if I understood it correctly. So I'm not sure.
Well, I think But that said, a lot of the problems will be from access into the road and the junction.
I don't know whether any of you picked it up, but they have a diagram showing a lorry coming out
Yes, yeah.
for removal van, and the front tyre appears to go over the curb.
The muddy curve.
Yes, it did. I've seen it again, but not.
Yes. Okay. Do you have any other?
Yeah, RP10, the countryside, it talks about not losing the intrinsic character and beauty of the countryside. Well, obviously it's self-evident that's going to go.
Because there are very few places, and they talk about the village's heritage being connected to that project, and therefore you're losing a further view of the heritage of it.
The first one is
it's one that the planners often use, that they want views from the buildings out to the countryside.
Yeah, so we've had 3 plan applications in the village where this has been an issue.
They will preserve the use.
Except they also say
preserve that, and this will clearly not preserve the existing view.
The other part of LP10 is they say that lower grade agricultural land should be used, not higher grade. According to the office, this is classed as grade 2, very good land. So all the land to the northwest and south of Hilton is classed in that way.
As I understand it, grade 1 is very rare. About 5% according to my contacts. Yeah. Yes, so it's not like it's majority. Majority is grade 2.
Well, actually, he's saying that the majority is grade 3.
Okay, anything else in your doc?
Affordable housing, there's quite a bit of that in there.
And I think that's a good thing if the village needs anything, it's smaller housing, affordable housing.
Well, there is a local plan that deals with this, it's LP24, affordable housing provision, and it says in order to assist in meeting the identified local need for additional affordable homes, a proposal which includes housing development will be required to provide a range of affordable housing types and sizes. Now, it's talking about an identified local need, which we don't have. We know that we did the survey back in 2018. So,
Well, we have had comments from individuals saying
there was one thing I wanted to add.
that they wanted to
If there is a need for affordable housing, it's not within the village, then going back to the thrust of the local plan is to stop vehicle use and sort of reduce them as much as they possibly can. So that it makes sense to put that housing where it's needed, where the services are, and I think it's more sense.
doesn't help people that want to stay in the village.
I'm kind of getting the impression from what we've spoken about that we're not happy with the site. And I'm going to suggest that that would be the proposal that is rejected, but it's a case of...
I think the site for this level of development
Absolutely, yes.
often be put in context all around else, because if you said to me, do you think you could carry on the road and you come a bit further down with individual houses, I personally say this like that. I think the use of this development
because you've got double stacking, haven't you? Because a lot of houses going.
We've got a lot of density and everything.
It's got 11 buildings.
Yes, yes. But I also think there's questions about how far up you can come and still maintain your connection with agriculture and within the built-up area. It's that sort of expression about whether it's better connected to the land or better connected to its adjacent buildings. But really, to sort of bring things to a close, I'm guessing the proposal will be that this is rejected, or recommended for rejection. But I need to have reasons. I mean, obviously, normally we just have an A4 response and we put down 3 or 4 key points. But I think this is such an important development and application that I'm going to suggest that we would write a letter on the basis that we've previously done not the basis, similar to letters that we've done to HCC. I don't know whether how we could word that proposal. You know, you're happy for yourself and the clerk to respond in line with what we've heard tonight?
Yes, I think the letter, as Rob suggested before, needs to identify that we're not just against it, certainly against it. So we need all the reasoning that we described from the plan and whatever. But we also, I think, should recognise that a mix of housing, whether it's 5 or whatever number, would be something that would be welcome for any kind of development.
I wouldn't support that. I mean, each development we take on its own merits. I mean, we're not saying that.
I'm just saying we should say something positive if there's any positive thing to say about what the proposing.
But then, but I mean, we've always addressed the application that's in front of us rather than suggesting how it could be changed.
It's not suggesting anything.
No.
It's really just reflecting our view of what's being proposed. There's too much for the plot, as part of what we're saying. And given the traffic issues and that junction, it's dangerous. But nevertheless, the idea of having lots of housing.
But then you're effectively saying that you'd be happy to have some houses on that site? Or are you saying that any
houses actually, I don't know, there might be 5 houses, there's some little ones. or independent.
I don't think I support that, and I think the land is so far outside the village, the built-up area.
It's next door to it.
We're being asked to comment on the application for up to 18 dwellings on that land. The general feeling is we're rejecting that. We're not making suggestions to make it easier for the landowner to come back and say, let's do
Yeah, exactly.
I think the voices in the village are saying, no, they don't see any development. From what I've heard, the comments in red, the majority of people are saying they don't want any development. And we're not asked to make comment on whether we think something else is needed on that land.
But I think we can't be emotional about it. I think we've got to be absolutely clear that this is not in the village boundary. It doesn't go, I believe it's not defined as part of the built-up area of the village. It's an agricultural field, it's still used for crops. And by that definition alone, I think it doesn't comply with the local plan.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, if the local authority are going to produce a plan, we have to, it has to be upheld, and they have to approve it accordingly, work it accordingly.
Well, it sounds like there's three things then, in terms of it fit with the village boundary and local ground, but also this dangerous junction.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't aware of it, because you put me under that one, but you reckon the transport and access is also an issue. Okay. So we can add that as well. Yes.
We've had some applications in the past where the proposer has gone to Cambs County Council for a report. The impact on traffic.
Again, I mean, it's kind of, I don't know whether that's a worrying statement that we're saying that access to that field could be approved, or whether you think that we're actually quite happy that that's a further reason for not.
I think when you look at it in the context of the application, we're saying what's been proposed, we would have potential risks for the traffic management. We need to be too specific in what we're saying.
We certainly need to
do something
right about traffic and the transport policy. I also thought a bit about the social planning, that this village doesn't have the amenities that it's local plan, which is the local plan. I also wanted to, when I was looking at the flooding report, highlighted that field it wouldn't be. They play on, in my opinion, they play on the fact it's not going to be affected by flooding from rivers or canals. But it is likely to be flooded through surface water, and it could be up to 1.2 metres deep in places on that report. Hence, they're proposing to dig a culvert at the back of the site and this attenuation pond on the left-hand side.
But only once that's fully goes downhill.
I don't know, I'm not an expert on this, and this is a report done by somebody on behalf of the proposer of the site that tells us that building the culvert and building the pond will ensure that it doesn't flood. I don't know.
So we can't comment on it.
I think we should comment that we'd like to question it, or we'd like to have the Environment Agency's comments on it. But that would only come at a time there was a future.
I think if we're saying that the site is not applicable,
yeah.
So I think we need to wait until that flood at this stage.
I just think that in general discussion, I think if anybody wants to make a comment,
yeah, I mean, there's a whole list of things. I think we've got to start at the beginning and then sort of move on from there. So the recommendation is that this application is recommended for rejection. It's just a question of whether we have enough information to support better.
I've got down messages, so we could just do the summarising the same points.
Okay.
Okay, point out which parts of the local plan.
Yeah.
So we summarise more we want to do.
So yes, start with the statement itself, recommend refusal of the cost.
Yes. Yeah. But there's not enough space on that column, so we have to say.
So I think that's like quite important in that covering that. So this should say recommend a refusal because it doesn't comply with the local plan.
Yeah.
That's it.
And then we can say that C cover letter.
Yeah, see how you
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, that's the proposal. Can I have a second for that, please? All second, all in favour? Fine, thank you very much. That's good. Okay. So, if you can help us with the cover letter based on whatever we can do. Do you want to read out the sort of salient points as you see
Well, I've
them?
gone through them, actually, pretty much. So we have got definition of built area. We've got that. Helping mindful settlements is to do with lack of services and facilities in the village. LP10 countryside is about quality of farmland, the intrinsic character and beauty of the countryside and the space not to be preserved. LP11 design context, that's to do with are the buildings sympathetic to the characteristics of the surroundings, including natural and historic built environment. I think that's a bit further down the line. Because
That was, yeah, I don't think we, this is discussed that.
So you don't want to
I think that we did discuss that issue.
There's another one which we probably will take out as well, which is LP14, amenity, and that's to do with privacy and overlooking the village council with all houses on that scheme over each other.
Yes, those, I think that comes down to, if it does get outlined, then we look at it in more detail.
And then perhaps one that should go in is LP24, affordable housing provision, and the fact that that's saying to assist in identifying local need and identifying local need, or we just haven't got. So,
Good. Okay, that's good.
Will you then add on a bit about the transport plan?
Oh, well, we've been asked to put
traffic
something about traffic
Yeah,
issues.
traffic.
We'll put there, we have concerns about traffic.
Under diesel and the transport plan.
Yes, yeah, word traffic. Okay, fine. Right, thank you very much. Now, before I close, I would just say that it's been mentioned before about putting your comments to HTC, which send on the website. I have noticed that it does take a long time for comments to come on the website. Depending on how much you've heard tonight and how much you agree with what you said, you may want some sort of key pointers or whatever if you do intend to put things in. So I think it's prudent if we do our letter and put it on the parish council's website, which we're going to do a lot quicker. Closing date, I think, is next Monday, because it's the 24th. So if we aim to get our letter on our website, so Thursday or Friday, we'll get our letter on the website. If we just send it to HTC, they have to vet it, make sure that it's sound quality before they put it on the website. So if we did that, it probably wouldn't be on there till the 24th. So we'll make sure it's on our website. If you do want to read it and make comments accordingly, whether you agree with what you said or whether you don't agree with what you said, then at least the relevant sections are there. Thank you very much. That's good. Thank you for saying that.